Okay. Let's check this one.
Have you ever felt like
Why does old games feel so much better than the new ones? I will tell you. I will tell you. Maybe it will be a censor as well, but I will tell you. Why do old games feel so much better than the new ones? Simplicity within gameplay, graphics, and also interface, and well, the whole game uh is more is cleansed of a lot of details that these days people you get into video games, and that people do not cannot really not care and never care, whereas like bloated AIs, bloated UIs, or like online systems that like fucking no one cares about and stuff. And it's, you get you ever heard you probably heard it on the internet, like someone just like fucking like typing like a fucking psycho, and it's like, can I just fucking play the fucking game, And basically, like bad, like old games do not have that. Other than that, graphics good enough and stories well done enough, and actually finished products. These are my guesses. These are my guesses. We will see if these are the same guesses that he has. Let me just.
games today just don't hit the same? Like they're missing that spark or emotional pull that older games used to have? I've been thinking about this a lot. Why was I so hooked on games in the 90s and early 2000s, playing them over and over again? And why does that feeling seem so rare now? At first, I thought maybe I'd just grown out of it, that it was nostalgia talking. But is that really the whole story? So I decided to put this theory to the test. I went back and re-downloaded some of the games that basically raised me. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Deus Ex 1, GTA Vice City, Quake 3 Arena, Half-Life, basically the greatest hits of my childhood and early teenage years. And you know what? I still loved them, and not just because I'd played them before. It was because of how they were designed. They didn't care if you were ready. They didn't hand you a map because I'd played them before. It was
Mario Sunshine, especially since it is like it is already like next gen Mario, is the perfect example of a a shipped game that is, so a soul game that you buy and everything is already. It's not like there isn't like the point where it's like, oh my fucking god, there is like 100 levels, right? But like but it is simplistic enough. It is pure purified enough. Purified, what's the word? um mm, it it is it is refined. It is refined. That's the word that I was searching. See how refined the game is? It is the same with Wind Waker. It is the same with like a lot of Zelda games, where like it is refined. You get just enough of what you need. And new AAA games with like where it's like, yeah, like I'll give you this example that like live service games for, let's say, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? You pay a fee every month or whatever the fuck. It's a live service game. It's like, no, dude, like let me play Assassin's Creed like I used to. It's just a game, and I finish it, you know. And then I go, and then I'm happy, and I play another one, you know. Not with this fucking season pass, season battle. It doesn't mean that, like, season passes and season battle passes are not good. It's just that like they are everywhere, and in a lot of cases they are on the wrong fucking games. where like you could ship a game without a fucking without using the resources because it costs money to create like a season pass. You could ship a game without a season pass, without fucking like strange DLCs and stuff, and actually fucking sell more uh than that. So yeah, this is pretty much like the reality. And Mario Sunshine is the exact example of refined video game. It's not too much. It's not too little. They really thought about it. It is good enough, you know? And good enough is usually when it comes to like high-tech industries, military, and and uh, and I guess well art industries, you know, like good enough means perfect. You know, like people don't. If you think of like fucking people that like work in all these tech companies, like they aim for perfection. Sometimes they get the chance to, but usually what's good enough is perfect. What's good enough, it means that it is stable, viable, it doesn't fucking break, etc., etc. Anyway, let's listen to what he has to say. But here's the example of like on a game that feels much better than new
It was
game.
because of how they were designed. They didn't care if you were ready. They didn't hand you a map and say, here's exactly how to win. They trusted you to figure it out. They challenged me, and in a weird way, didn't care about my feelings. Turns out, it wasn't just that I got older. Games really did change. And today, I want to dig into what exactly changed, why it happened, and what it means for the games we play now. In the 2000s, games were designed with one thing in mind, making you work for it. They didn't care if you felt coddled or safe. They expected you to figure it out. And honestly, that was part of the fun. They didn't just throw hints at you like you were a lost puppy. They trusted you to explore, fail, and get back up again. Take Half-Life 2, for example. There was no constant stream of cutscenes or blinking arrows telling you where to go. You had to pay attention to piece together the story through the world itself, like a detective in a sci-fi fever dream. Or look at Deus Ex, which casually dropped codes in random conversations and notes scattered around, and expected you to actually write them down somewhere. It forced you to slow down, to really pay attention, and to own every little triumph. This kind of design didn't just make you feel like a passenger, it made you an active part of the world. The moment you remembered a keypad code and punched it in, it felt like you'd unlocked a secret meant only for you. It was these little victories, earned by your curiosity and stubbornness, that made games back then feel so alive. In arcade games like Need for Speed, winning actually meant something. If you wanted to progress, you had to learn the tracks and the mechanics. There were no participation trophies waiting for you at the finish line. If you didn't nail it, you didn't move on, simple as that. In contrast, a lot of modern games seem to hand out points and rewards like they're afraid you'll get bored and wander off. It doesn't
Also, yeah, too many ways to fucking like get rewarded. Like this is a problem that I see where it's just like you play a game and there is like five types of points that you were like all the time getting to actually like make you feel better about yourself or something. And it is not necessary, but like the game industry has changed, so this is the norm. But at the same time, it's just for example this. And let's talk about like for example like online currencies, right? Video game online currencies. We started with one. One was perfect. You can buy whatever the fuck you want with one, right? And then it became like such a mess with the gacha gaming and stuff. But like gachas are gacha, like gacha gaming is not to blame too much with having like five different like fucking like type of currencies. But when a normal game that is not a gacha, that is not a live service, serves you like fucking like 700 fucking like currencies, fuck you. And it's kind of the same with like the rewards and stuff where it's like yeah, anyway.
Doesn't matter if you finish first or last, they'll still give you a pat on the back and some XP. Difficulty often scales itself down, so you never really feel that moment of panic when you're about to lose. Those older games didn't care about how you felt. They weren't interested in propping you up or giving you a false sense of accomplishment. They cared about making you sweat a little, about making the win actually feel like a win. They knew you were smart enough to handle it and that there's no feeling quite like figuring it out for yourself. These days, the focus is often on accessibility and convenience. Don't get me wrong, it's great that more people can pick up a controller and enjoy a game. But somewhere along the way, that convenience started to chip away at the real fun, the thrill of facing a challenge and coming out on top. Instead of learning and overcoming, you're just being gently guided along, never too challenged, never too lost. Sure, there are still games that remember what made those older titles so good, but we'll get to those in a bit. As the gaming industry evolved, corporate interests started to treat games less like art and more like cash registers that just so happened to involve dragons or race cars. One prominent example is the widespread adoption of Battle Pass systems. It started out in games like Dota 2, then
Oh yeah, remember the fucking like Star Wars Battlefront thing where the dude was like, so in order to fucking like play whatever fuck character, I need to grind for like a couple months, 8 hours a day, or I can pay $20. It's like fuck you, dude.
and Fortnite gave it steroids, and now you can't swing a pixelated sword without running into one. These things have turned into a standard feature across genres, with the main goal of making sure you never stop playing. They're cleverly disguised as content, but what they really offer is a list of chores with a timer on them.
Yeah, but like on this one, I will criticize what he said because like battle passes and uh battle battle pass and season passes are actually like something really healthy for a lot of games because like it allows to actually keep the game updated. It is not like something that is forced onto the players, but it allows for like actual growth of a game, but it has to be legitimized. If it if there are like good reasons to fucking have it, then fuck yeah, then hell yeah. Like people fucking hate on Genshin Impact, but like the Genshin Impact Battle Pass, fucking worth it. I'd say like what are the games? Fuck. Like there's a lot of like battle passes that are worth it. Now let's now the problem that he points out is just like so Silent Hill got released, huh? With a battle pass. You get me? Like game, but technically it's game. There's a lot of games that fits the example where it's like yeah, it's a release like the new fucking like Silent Hill. Yeah, there's a battle pass in it. You get like free stuff, costs like $70 more. Like this is stupid, you know. But like for a lot of games, it's actually quite healthy for their own economy because some of them are close to free to play. It's not because like the game is cheap price that like that it's because like people can that it's a good thing. It's a good thing that they allow themselves to do that. But yeah, anyway, like there are like the good battle passes, Fortnite, fucking like how is it called? What was my first example? I'd say Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh as a Yu-Gi-Oh online has a really good battle pass. Was a third one like that I was talking about. Dota has a good battle pass. And then there are games like the games that he talks about are like Silent Hill, Battle Pass. You get the season pass as well if you fucking like invest. Fucking stupid. Like solo. Imagine Life is Strange, Battle Pass. You get me? This happens to some games where it's like, yeah, no, it's not Life is Strange or Silent Hill, but what? Where even though, like, why the fuck does it has a battle pass?
This model doesn't care if you're having fun, it just wants you to keep checking in, like a clingy app that tracks how many steps you've taken to the fridge.
Uh, Overwatch battle pass, no problem, no problem.
The game itself becomes a background detail to the daily grind. Log in, complete your tasks, buy the shiny thing before the timer runs out. The actual mechanics, the stories, those are more like afterthoughts, something to keep you busy while the real business is happening in the store tab. To make sure you don't get too frustrated and stop spending, modern games have gotten really good at smoothing out every bump in the road.
Apex Legend battle pass, legit as well. The game is free to play. It allows to create new seasons, and the rewards are really cool. Like, don't hate the fucking player, hate the game. Now, don't hate the publishers that fucking release battle passes on games where like they should not be at all, or battle passes that are just like complete nonsense and just like has no reason have no reason to be.
Dynamic difficulty adjustment sounds nice enough, but it also means the game never really asks much of you. There's no spike of panic, no triumph of beating the odds, just a smooth ride to somewhere you're not even sure you want to go. It all feels empty, lifeless, and we wonder why we are constantly buying new games, and then all the experts have the Pikachu face when a game like Expedition 33 drops. All the statistics yell at you, oh, turn-based RPGs don't sell. It's not about the genre. Why and where did we forget to ask the question, is the game bloody fun when developing? When companies care more about engagement metrics and conversion rates than about fun and challenge, you're left with experiences that are technically perfect but somehow empty. If we really want to bring back the magic that older games had, the industry has to remember that challenge and storytelling are the real hooks, not just how many coins you can earn in your daily login.
I think like this is sad because like I agree, absolutely agree with that, but like it's a message, another message in a bottle, it's another drop in the ocean of complaints. Well, like the industry does what the industry desire to do, and we have like almost like no way to fucking like change that. All right. But do not fucking come to me and tell me that like the whole industry is broken and like there is no video games that are actually not as fun as play as old ones. Like there are many search like life is I know that like it doesn't mean to say something like bad by it. It's just like in this argument we are not in the video game industry is so rich and so vibrant, so like it evolves so fast. Like, yeah, it is true that many games are not made for many players, that a lot of games are cash grabs or just scams, right? But a lot of them, they're not, and you have to choose them or take the time to search for them.
Beyond just monetization and accessibility, there's also the simple fact that big game companies tend to play it safe. They're in the business of minimizing risk, which often means churning out sequels, remakes, and formulaic gameplay that's been tested and retested to death. Originality takes a backseat because it's a gamble, and no one in a boardroom wants to roll those dice. This isn't to say that comfort and familiarity are always.
This is true, but the ones that do, they fucking make the big money, and that is kind of like to come back to the what I was saying about like, yeah, we do not control like the gaming industry. A video on YouTube, a complaint on Twitter will not fucking change the mind of someone of a corporation such as Tencent, Bungie, or like I'll fucking know, Sony. Okay. But do you know what will someday? Maybe if these idiots they notice that the fucking people that actually do the right choice, they fucking make bank. They fucking like just like get the money printer delivered at their fucking office, right? Well, maybe this will be the time. It will, but corporate rhythm is a different like the time in corporate is not time like time for corporate entities is not measurable, is not comparable to time compared to real economy or like world development or whatever. Corporate time is corporate time, and it takes time. Well, yeah, is they live in their bubble, like they live in their own reality.
Bad, but when every big budget game starts to feel like a copy of a copy, you start to wonder if we've lost something in the shuffle. It's like the industry is so focused on not offending anyone or not confusing them that they forget how exciting it is to be surprised or even challenged. Older games took more risks because there was more room to experiment. Today, that same spirit is often buried under market research and shareholder expectations. And sure, there are exceptions, some big titles that still manage to innovate, but for the most part, the AAA world is about as risk-averse as it gets. That's why so many of us find ourselves drifting back to smaller indie games or those older titles that didn't seem to care if they were too weird or too hard. Because when you're not worried about playing it safe, you're free to actually make something interesting. Not all modern games fall into these traps though. Indie developers are usually the ones out there waving the flag for creativity and player engagement over just lining their pockets. Games like Hollow Knight, Celeste, and Dead Cells.
Yeah, this is true, but this is also because the team that they run do not. So the reality of living like working in a corporation is you want to do one choice. There's 50 people that like need to fucking know about it and need to agree, right? If it's a small choice, if it's a big choice, like it is like discussed over meetings and meetings and meetings and meetings. And the reality is that like I'm saying something like completely like something that, like everyone knows, I know, but like the reality is that having much more liberty allows for much more creativity. But do not think that the game designer working for a AAA game and gaming company is not similar or the same as the one like from the indie company. No, he just like has a different budget and he is not he do not he simply has not the role to make all the decisions. And I'll give you an example of a AAA company that actually is kind of considered as an indie company, and it is Path of Exile. Check out how Path of Exile like the was built and everything, and how the team just reacts to it and stuff. And then Yoshi from Final Fantasy. You should check these two out just to know that like no, it's like I hate the fact that people demonize like fucking AAA and do not understand that like it's a complete different type of business. And like they talk about them like they're bad people, like the game designers from like the AAA are like bad greedy people. Ooh, you know, it's not the case. It's just like organization in the corporate world is something so messed up and so funny at the same time. Like you'll never believe how fucked and how fucking complicated it is. But that's why I like. He has a good point, but it's just that, like I hate the fact that like people basically like say indie company good, AAA company get bad, and game designer indie company good, AAA company game designer bad. You know, no, they're the same. It's just like they have different responsibilities when it comes to delivering a product.
Don't rely on your credit card to keep you entertained. Instead, they challenge you, make you sweat a little, and remind you how good it feels to really earn something in a game. They're proof that you can still make engaging, memorable experiences without building a virtual slot machine into every menu. Indie games thrive on innovation, often born from pushing boundaries and challenging established conventions. Traditional tutorials or hand-holding techniques can increase accessibility, but can inadvertently stifle creativity by funneling players through a very specific experience. This means players aren't given space to experiment and find their own ways, leading to a more formulaic feel instead of encouraging creative problem solving. These prioritize immediate gratification over the long-term benefits of player-driven exploration. Moreover, indie developers have been busy breathing new life into the immersive sim genre, the one that used to be the playground of big-budget games like Deus Ex, Prey, and Dishonored. These kinds of games put real choices back in your hands, in worlds that actually let you be creative, whether you're hacking doors are open, sweet-talking your way past guards, or just throwing a wrench at the problem and seeing what happens. Recent releases like Shadows of Doubt, a detective game in a procedurally generated dystopian city, and Control Alt Ego, where you solve puzzles by possessing everything in sight, are proof that there's still a lot of fun to be had when you let players off the leash. Then there's Journey, an indie game that redefined multiplayer by giving you a sense of connection with complete strangers instead of turning every interaction into a competition. You wander through vast deserts, silently forming bonds with whoever happens to be there, and somehow it feels more meaningful than your average multiplayer game these days. Indie games also don't shy away from tackling serious themes. Celeste, for instance, manages to combine tough as nails platforming with a story about mental health and self-doubt that's as heartfelt as it is challenging. It even added an assist mode that set a new bar for making games accessible without watering them down. Through all this, indie developers keep pushing back against the idea that games have to be built around monetization or cheap tricks to keep you playing. They're a reminder that games can still be fresh, personal, and deep.
Yeah, and this is kind of the part where I understand the this dude frustration, but it's not. But I think it does himself a disservice by actually demonizing AAA gaming and demonizing uh big brands, basically, like big studios, because at the end of the day they don't have the choice, and it doesn't mean that good games are not like AAA games are not good anymore. It means that almost all AAA games are complete scams, but for the rest of it, we still get the good stuff. So he's not completely right. It's just that it doesn't, I don't like the argument that indie good, AAA bad. Like, no, 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 no. It's like there is good in everything. You know.
Deeply satisfying, even if they don't come with a battle pass. It's entirely possible to take all the fancy tech we have now and still hold on to what made older games truly captivating: mystery, atmosphere, and the freedom to figure things out on your own. That's what made so many of those games stick with us, and it's something that's often missing in modern titles. Take Elden Ring, for example. It's proof that players don't always need a glowing arrow pointing them forward. The world is massive, the challenges are real, but most importantly, it's full of moments where you're not quite sure what's waiting around the next corner. It's a game that lets you breathe in the atmosphere and soak up the feeling of being somewhere new and unexplored. This is a far cry from the approach a lot of modern games take, where the experience is meticulously mapped out and explained before you even get your feet wet. Too many games want to make sure you're never lost or confused, but that also means you never get that electric jolt of discovering something on your own. The quest logs, the objective markers, the endless pop-ups, they're all there to keep.
Yeah, this is what I said. Do not demonize the whole gaming industry, because AAA games, more triple the big studios release mostly scams. Like, this is true, but do not forget that they release sometimes mega scams, and also sometimes they release really beautiful games and really thought out games that and I think that over time things will become better, but it's just I'm fucking don't hate the player, hate the game, you know?
Keep you on track, but they also take away any sense of surprise. Older games understood that the world itself could be the fun. The satisfaction didn't come from ticking boxes on a map. It came from mastering a tricky platforming section, figuring out how to make the clunky combat system work, or just messing around and seeing what the game would let you do. These games trusted you to find your own fun and gave you the tools to make it happen. Modern games could learn a lot from that. They could focus on making the mechanics themselves satisfying, giving players the freedom to try out weird strategies, and trusting them to handle it when things go sideways. Because the truth is, it's the messy, unpredictable moments that we remember the most. Not the perfectly guided tours with scripted victories, but the times we stumbled into something amazing because we were allowed to wander a little. If we can bring that back, we can keep the incredible tech we have today and still make games that feel as alive and memorable as the ones we grew up with. In the end, what I really miss about older games is the feeling of being alone but not lonely, the quiet thrill of figuring things out, the excitement of finally beating a tough level, because I actually improved, not because the game wanted me to feel good. Modern games, with all their hand-holding and constant rewards, seem to have lost that spark. It feels like I'm being coddled rather than challenged. I miss the times when games didn't care about my feelings, but still managed to make me care deeply about them. I hope that by remembering
Maybe it's a Gen Z thing. We're no, because Gen Z is really follow Gen Z. I identify myself as someone from the Gen Z more than I do with the fucking people of my fucking age. Do you know why? Just because I'm as depressed as them. But you know what? What he said. Preferring a game that's challenge you rather than giving you a hug. Maybe it's a Gen Z thing, because I'm telling you, like uh Like I'm as depressed as someone from the Gen Z, and bro, like yeah, yeah, you know what? Fuck being challenged. I prefer Uggs.
Remembering and supporting games that value skill, curiosity, and real challenge, we can bring back some of that magic and push games to be more than just safe and profitable. If this resonated with you, join our Discord where we can rant and complain about games as a group. Subscribing also helps me know if you like videos like this, and if you're into cozy puzzle games, I've got one on Steam, just waiting to give you a chill experience. See you in the next one.
This was a great video. I'm sorry if I actually I just I'm just not too fan of like generalization, you know, like. But at the same time, he's making good points. I think that, but he didn't talk about just the fact that like all refined games were. Like he said it in certain ways where like yeah, you were like you are not like followed and you don't have like this many helps and you discover yeah, I think that like it's more also about the simplicity of the systems themselves where it's like there isn't like 50 fucking thousand like items, there isn't like 50 fucking thousand you log in and like and I use this fucking multiplayer and stuff like that, and just like just this bloated, like kind of like really oversaturated type of like games where you're into that and you're like the game is about just like shooting a couple dudes and why does it feel so fucking so fucking like why do I feel so fucking bad playing it? And I'll give you this example. I'll give you this last example about this. Is actually Cyberpunk 2077, right? Or Elden Ring to this point where the game doesn't give you too much information, doesn't offer you enough assurance, but at the same time, there is no like this fucking like battle pass, and there isn't like because like again, battle pass in Cyberpunk. Why the fuck, right? It's like, but there's a lot of games that have battle passes, like Assassin's Creed or stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, why the fuck would you do that? You will sell technically more fucking games if you add no battle pass because like people will just like buy the game like not technically they make a lot of money out of it, but like technically it takes away like something from like the game itself, you know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm always wrong. So I must be wrong. Anyway.